Okay, what's goody, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream on Bitcoin for the week ahead. Today, we're going to be focusing on Bitcoin and what we want to be trading going forward. We're going to be outlining some important events in terms of, are your altcoins actually finding a bottom, or are they just talking shit on Twitter and they're going for another minus 50%, right? So I think that's going to be very important. We're going to be using TPO, market profile, right? VWAP. We're going to be posting summaries, the trading hypos for the week, and where we are wrong or right on the trades. So the Tetris is winning. The Tetris is winning, and it's a nice bike, right? It's a nice bike. I'm getting old, but either way, just a quick heads up for those of the Discord who went short there from the, I believe it was from the rejection here at the composite value area high, right there, right? I think now is the time to start taking some profit. So I said it to Jack as well, like we're now trading at the 2-month point of control. So if you're into that short from last Friday, like this is a good location to start taking profits and trail your own validation. We'll go over that in a bit, but I just wanted to get that out there right at the beginning of the stream, just in case we see mean reversion higher. Okay, so this is a good location to start taking some profits. Going back, Bitcoin prep. Today is the 2nd of February. That means that we have new previous month value to work with. And then we've got a tick size 110, remains the same. And then impactful news events, I couldn't care less today. That's something for tomorrow's stream. So recent developments, we're going to be starting with TPO, market profile. Let's take a look. First things first. I want you guys to focus on, let's get this in the bigger screen because otherwise it's getting too small. So within the previous 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. This was a 14-day composite, right? The 14-day composite. And then on the 15th day, we opened up. We auctioned into the value area high, rejected to the tick, huge amount of buy delta. Same story here, right? Second opportunity for shorts for a rotation lower, right? That was just a picture perfect trade. We're now accepting back below. That means Bitcoin is accepting below a 14-day composite. And if it cannot reclaim the value area low ASAP, this was distribution and we're going to go lower, right? We're going to go way lower than this. So for your altcoins, don't get yourself fooled on Twitter saying people, altcoins outperforming, my altcoin is doing so good, it's a green day. Bro, trust me, if Bitcoin is auctioning lower, Bitcoin dominance is creeping upwards, your altcoin is going to the shitter, right? And there's not, I can't really say it in a better way than that. It's just going to the shitter, period. So what about the things that I want to be aware of heading into next week? I think starting off on a daily chart here, on the daily, the thing that I want to be aware of is that we are currently trading at 97,330-ish. This right here is what we call poor low. If we take a look at this day, it was a poor low as well, right? There was a poor low there as well. The poor low is a sign that there's a lack of access, there's no conviction by buyers, and it is an anomaly. So that means that the market will likely come back down into the level to rebalance the inefficiency, right? Rebalance the inefficiency. There's another poor low there, and there's another bunch of inefficiencies there. So I think if Bitcoin closes the day like this, maybe we get a mechanical bounce, but just be aware that there's a poor low there intraday and some poor low slightly below. So I just want to be aware of that. So let's write that down first. Let's get rid of that. Prep, market profile, poor low intraday, and poor lows slightly below as a draw on, let's get the mic out of my face, draw on liquidity. Why the market is falling so badly is because everybody thought that it was bullish, but they're overexposed and they haven't learned from the previous cycles, and now they're down bad, right? We've been talking about altcoins that doesn't really make sense to chart altcoins on their own if Bitcoin is not finding a low. They're just higher beta. Bitcoin is going lower. Your favorite shit coin is going way lower, right? So it's just simple as that. So Sierra chart back. Daily, check. We've got poor low there, poor low there. We do have an old composite here, but it's not auctionable for me right now. Moving towards the weekly. Do you guys remember this? This was an 8-week composite, right? So if Bitcoin would have been bullish, this retest right there, let me zoom. Can I zoom in more? Let's just keep it like that. The fact that Bitcoin tried to accept back within the 8-week value. The fact that Bitcoin tried to break lower, failed to do so, then saw expansion back up within previous week value was bullish for a rotation towards previous week value high. Look at this. Everybody got really bullish. Oh, we're going to go towards all-time high. Rejected at the previous week value. Acceptance back within, right? Rejected twice. And now we're trading back within the 8-week composite. Going forward, I am inclined to think that purely based on the composite here, as long... Let me just point one thing out. This is an 8-week point of control. So if there's going to be a low on Bitcoin, I expect it to be within this region. I don't know if we're going to be spiking the low. However, I do know, based on the laws of market dynamics, if there's a chance at some short-term relief towards at least the value area high around 100K, it should be from this point on. Not a single line, this area. However, if we do see that retracement back upwards and we fail to break above around 100K, which happened to line up with previous quarterly value area high or low, let me just double check in a bit. To me, that means that it is accepting back within the 8-week composite. Now, what's the likely destination based on that? Let me know. I want to know it from you guys. If we're rejecting at the value area high, after accepting back within the composite, what's the destination? Going to be the value area low. Exactly. Perfect. So rejection there, auctioning lower. Doesn't really matter what we see on Twitter. Doesn't really matter what we see within the headlines. It is going to be that value area low. Perfect. Good to see. So that's one thing. I want to be aware of that as well. Right click, Bitcoin prep, market profile. We are seeing acceptance back within the 8-week value. Let's just outline this as well, because I think bearish line in the sand based on weekly value is 8-week value high 100K confluent with previous quarter. Now let me double check before I previous quarter. Oh yeah, previous quarter value high. We'll go back towards that in a bit. Confluent with previous quarter value high. Period. Moving forward. So this is the daily done. The weekly time frame done. This is a composite, right? This chart is only composite, the bottom left, so it's not really auctionable for us. We're just focusing on this one, and then the monthly. Why do I have such a big monthly value? Well, based on TPO, again, zooming in. Do you think that we can merge the 2 weeks at the top? Let me double check for you. That's a good point, by the way. Not really. And the reason why I don't really think that is because, you know, the rule, one of the main rules for merging profiles is 50% or more value overlap with the previous profile. And to me, this right here, this is not 50% of that value area that's overlapping with the previous week. So I wouldn't necessarily merge them together. Let's see. You know, and this is what I mean. So we got a double distribution composite. You know, 2 titties there. There's not, you know, I want to have like one thick profile as a composite, not 2 distributions. So that's a sign that we can't really be merging that composite. Undo merge. Moving towards this one, right? In this case, this is from February and this is from December, right? Do you see the 50% value overlap here with that profile? That means this month can be added within the previous month to give a 2-month range. Right click, merge with next profile, right there. And that's, you know, I would say, yes, we do have a titty there as well, but it's neglectable, right? It's a pretty decent looking composite there. What else do we have? We've got a 2-month point of control there, which is confluent with the 8-week value. It is confluent with the weekly naked value area low. So again, this adds to my thesis that if there's going to be short-term relief, it should be within this region. We can do a bit of fuckery there, spike the low once more. But then, considering that poor high there, a shitty high there. We could expect some sort of relief towards at least 100K and potentially even higher. But if we fail to hold as a support, well, then it's going to be 94s right away, real quick, right? And I think that, you know, that's why I think this should be holding. So Panas has a question, really interested to know how you can weigh TPO composite versus VWAP. Something that's a great question. Let me address that after we done the prep. So if I go back here, acceptance. No, not acceptance. Rotational within 2-month value. Trading at 2-month point of control. Time-based, I'm going to be typing this because we're going to be taking a look at VWAP in a bit as well. So trading at a 2-month point of control, time-based, we're at 97K. Should there be short-term relief, it needs to be from this area. All right. Period. So that's done. That's TPO done. If I were to, do a quick summary here, I would say, given the fact that we have a poor low intraday, poor low slightly below, we have acceptance back with the 8-week value. However, we are trading at the 2-month point of control slightly below. We're probably going to be forming some sort of a range where I expect Bitcoin to do something like this, where let's say that this is the chart, right? Sweep the lows, and then it needs to show me that it can close back within that range for a move back into the 2-month point of control, and then potentially even, higher. Keep in mind that this 2-month point of control is based on VWAP, and I will show you why I think that's more important than time-based in a bit. Is that clear so far, everybody within TPO? Are we on the same page? Let me know in the chat. Type a quick W or a Y or whatever, so I know I can move forward. All right, Gucci. Let's keep the speed up. Moving forward. So we have now defined our narrative based on TPO. I also want you to know what's happening within VWAP land, right? Because based on VWAP, we're going to be really building out our narrative in the term of, are we finding a genuine breakback within value? Is quarterly value failing as support? Because, the videos that I did last week, like the shorter term videos, I was mentioning previous quarter value. That's the top right chart. Now I will show you that in a bit as well. But starting off on the yearly. Zooming in. Previous year value area high comes in at 80K. Don't get it twisted, because Bitcoin can do this and still remain bullish. However, most of the people will not be prepared for a lag lower into the 80Ks followed by a move back into the 100Ks, right? But structurally, higher time frame, 80K is, in my opinion, a beautiful area to look for potential longs on your spot. Because based on the yearly time frame, this is the super higher time frame bullish line in the sand, okay? So I'm not saying that we're definitely going there, but as long as we're not able to reclaim that previous quarterly value that I will show you in a bit, it's going to be looking, pretty rough on Bitcoin. So keep in mind the quarterly here. And this is why I think it's looking, I'm not a huge fan of this right now, but let's see. Previous quarterly value, area high, is around 100K. It is also confluent with that weekly composite that we outlined. It is also confluent with a 2-month point of control that I will show you based on VWAP in a bit. In my honest opinion, this 100K region is going to be the bearish line in the sand. Because if we're able to accept back above, we have a market structure break on this H4 candle right there. We have a new fresh H4 down close candle after sweeping a low. And in that case, I think any pullback back into that previous quarterly value is a good longing opportunity for a move back into this fair value gap above these poor highs. That's the bullish trade for me, okay? So this is the line in the sand. If we try to break above and we fail to hold this as support and we reject, let me see if I can find an example from that, from previous quarterly value. For example, right here. previous quarterly value area high. We're accepting back within previous quarterly value. Buyers are stepping in at previous quarterly VWAP. Rotation higher into previous quarterly value area high. Sellers are stepping in. Rotation back towards VWAP. Buyers are stepping in. Rotation towards value area high. Acceptance above. That's when we get higher prices, okay? Keep that in mind. Now we move towards where we are currently trading. Support. Support. Not really looking good, right? So we could... What's up, Grant? Hope you're well, buddy. Good to see you. So if Bitcoin is not able to accept back above 100K on a quarterly perspective, I need to be assuming that we're getting a rotation back into the 85s. Now, remember what I said about the yearly. The yearly value area high is at 80, 82-ish, right? So I think a higher time frame Bitcoin low could be right there. Overshoot, reclaim that previous quarterly VWAP, and then we're trading higher. Until then, of course, we also have the monthly and the weekly value to work with. But for as far as I can see right now, Bitcoin is telling us that, you know, hey, we try to really hold that previous quarterly value as support. We've got a huge amount of bullish news, guys. You know, we've got Trump, we've got Saylor T-wapping his balls off. I don't know, you know, but we're failing to hold this. So this is starting to look pretty shit to me. And then as long as we can't really reclaim 100K, lower prices. Reclaim 100K, I'm going long. And I'm going to be targeting 105. Okay? Monthly. And by the way, let me just check GPO. Did we swap the poor low already? Yeah, we're doing it right now. So this is already looking better. But I want to see this down at the lows. And so far, I'm not seeing anything, right? So it's just a bit of an exhaustion. It's not really absorption or whatever, or aggression by the sellers. Maybe we can see another spike lower. But if we're getting a mean reversion, we're now also tagging that weekly naked value area low. So this area right here, this is where the magic should happen for a move back into that 100K. Right there. Right here. It's probably because I'm on Coinbase. On which chart are you? All right, so quarterly value, done. Monthly, this is where things get interesting. Because I want to show you guys a couple of things. Do you guys remember, like in the beginning of the stream, we were outlining how on TPO, on market profile, when there's a 50% or more value overlap, we can add them together as a composite. If you have a similar thing with VWAP, where we've got the new previous month value overlapping with the previous month, right? From that previous month, we can add them together as well to get a 2-month composite based on VWAP to see whether or not we're getting quality levels. I think, considering that we have another poor low and that we have a value low on the monthly there, it adds another layer of confluence for me that the low should be, if we're getting a mean reversion, right, should be within this region here. Confluent with that weekly naked value low, confluent with that 2-month point of control on TPO, etc., etc. So I'm going to show you that right now. Let's move towards the regular chart right here. Let's get rid of that. And then I want to have the composite. I want to have the bands, and I want to be able to merge. All right. And then right here, if I double click the indicator, double click it, or one time, we can see December, starting month until February 1. So this is the composite that we're trading within. Right there. So let's get rid of the high volume bar for a sec. So we can clearly see that there was a high volume breakback within the 2-month. This is where I did the video on as well on YouTube, where I said, as long as we trade above the 2-month value area high, we had support here. Bitcoin is bullish, right? However, acceptance back within the 2-month value, that means we're now accepting back within this right there, right? This is the rotation. This is the profile. This is how it looks, right? This is that TPO. right? The 2-month composite that we've now just merged together. Are you guys following along so far? Because I've seen a whole lot of shit takes on Twitter regarding vwap. But this is how you do it. Okay? So the moment we accept it back within this 2-month composite, it's an indication bearish. Next, like the destination based on TPO, it's going to be point of control. So that was the first location. Now that we're accepting back below, as long as we're, we do have that previous month value low there. However, if Bitcoin is unable to hold that level, we might just be running towards 94s. Okay? And I think 94.5K was confluent with 94.5, 94-ish, kind of confluent with that 2-month point of control here on TPO as well. And then on the 8-week composite, 93.3. So that's looking pretty good. So we then have the weekly. Do we have anything of interest on the weekly? Well, last week we had a beautiful shorting opportunity there. And then, Grant, do you remember what was the level? It was the developing month value and the 14-day composite, right? Or the 10-day composite where we took that short off. I think it was that one. But still a very nice rotation lower. Acceptance below previous week value low. That was the confirmation to, that we're auctioning lower again. So let's just summarize this. Let's brief it up because we've discussed a lot. Okay, so Bitcoin remains bullish, high time frame, as long as it trades above 82K previous year value high. We absolutely do not want to see acceptance below that level. If we're accepting below 82, then it's pack it up, and we're going to be, it's going to be either like price-wise capitulation towards 60K, for example, or time-based capitulation, where it's just going to be numerous months of just chopping around, which is going to be good for us traders, but for the altcoins and stuff like that, it's probably going to be shit. Previous quarter value high, confluent with. Is it confluent with? Yes. Confluent with 2-month point of control is our bearish. Did I already say that? Bearish line in the sand? Yeah. So, it's also confluent with the 8-week, which is our bearish line in the sand. Likely destination based on previous month value. Previous month value low at. Where's previous month value low at? I want to be aware. It is. Well, let me just double check. Lines vwap. And I want to have the monthly chart. 95,650 already. Okay, so it's kind of confluent there. Well, let's just add it. 95,660. Previous month value low. Okay. So this is my chart. 2-month point of control. We have that, but this is that poor low that we saw on TPO. And this is that. Then this is going to be the bullish line in the sand going forward. Okay. Like this based on the previous month value low at, what did I say? 95.6K confluent with 2-month value low. Bullish line in the sand. Can we have a little bit more sauce from the weekly? Okay, so right here, the developing week value low is coming in at 99.9. Again, another layer of confluence between previous quarterly, the 2-month point of control, the weekly composite, and then previous week value low. So I think it is pretty safe to assume that heading into next week, 100K big figure is going to be the make it or break it. If we can blast straight through, then we're probably going to be getting relief towards 105-ish, okay? At least. But if we try to break back above and we fail to do so, we're probably getting another rotation lower into that 2-month value low. So to summarize this, based on market profile and vwap, Bitcoin had multiple bearish shifts in condition after the initial rejection at the 14-day composite value high. Remember, that was the first sign of weakness, followed by acceptance below the 14-day composite value low and previous quarter value high. For a bullish February, we need to see oh my gosh, we need to see Bitcoin trading above 100K to confirm a failed, let me just explain why. To confirm a failed break below previous quarter and all of its levels of confluence, right? Because if we quickly go back towards this chart right here, if right now Bitcoin, this was a brief, we had 1, 2, 4 hour candles push above into H4 support. Do you guys see that? Rally higher into the developing quarterly value. If this ends up being a deviation, I want to zoom in a bit more. We had this low here, right there. Before we took out the low, we formed an H4 up close candle there. So Bitcoin can do whatever it wants here, but for me to get bullish, I need to see a clean break above, no resistance, a clean break through this up close candle, because a lot of people that are looking for shorts, they're going to be targeting this as a bearish order block, right? That is why when we cleanly break through it, you'll call this a bullish breaker. That means everybody that went short within this level, they will want to mitigate and get long again once we retest it. And I think that opens up the gates for a move back into this up close candle confluent with the fair value gap. Besides intraday trades, the higher time frame picture is pretty clean to me here. We need to reclaim this, and we need to do it pretty quick, because if we don't and we fail to do so and we reject there, then it makes way for 85s, right? Sure, we're going to go towards 94 first, because that's the 2-month value low, right? But this right here, this is the level that you want to see reclaimed for your altcoins to do well, because if it doesn't get reclaimed, then we're going to go lower. Let me quickly catch up on the chat, because there was quite some questions. Order flow form bar right now, little retest. I don't have extra charts on this streaming account. Let me just, otherwise we can go over that tomorrow within the stream vertical tomorrow morning. Anchor view up from the low is 95,600. That's a good confluence, good call. Hard to measure strength after what we've witnessed for the past 2 weeks. I mean, I've said this like within previous streams as well, like in terms of macro and so on, like I have absolutely no clue about macro, right? I just know how to trade TPO and VWAP. And so far, for me, it's for the better, because I just focus on the levels that I want to be trading. And then afterwards, I see, oh, we got terrorists, or oh, we got some other dog shit stuff developing. But to me, like, if you're trading purely based on structure, like this was a short there. And then we had that composite. That was a short as well, right? And then acceptance below here. That's another short. So I think, trading based on structure is the way to go to me. For me. Why are alts finished? Because there's not enough liquidity. We've seen that with Trump, right? With the Trump coin, where, you'll think that there's enough liquidity, but once everybody starts running towards the gate, then things will get ugly real quick. And I think altcoins are finished as, because Bitcoin just had a major shift in condition there. On the quarterly time frame, make no mistake, quarterly, let me just show you guys. The quarterly time frame on Bitcoin. Failed to hold above previous quarterly value very high. Oh my gosh, what did it do, right? Huge drive lower. And every time that Bitcoin fails to hold above a previous quarterly value, support, start to break below, retest it, right? This is what I'm looking for right now. If we try to break back within, but we fail to do so, everybody was looking for longs there, right? However, if you're taking a look on TPO or VWAP, you can see, no, there's a shifting condition here based on the quarterly. What's the destination? VWAP, right? So a lot of people got rinsed there. What else? Do we have more examples? Well, you know, I think this is enough for what we have right now. So that is why I think, you know, going forward, let's do an 8-hour chart. Like, I can see what people mean when they're telling like, well, we've got structure there. This is probably going to be a good long. Yeah, it could be a good long because it's confluent with that 2-month value area low. However, keep in mind that if we do form a low like that, and then we get some structure, we're probably getting a pullback. That means we're spending a whole lot of time and space below previous month value. And this value area high confluent with a whole lot of other things is going to be our bearish line in the sand. So we can either play the swing short there for a rotation towards 86, or we can allow it to push above again. And then, you know, we don't have to gamble down here to get long. We can let the market show us the conviction. Well, we can get long here, but it's an intraday trade, right? For swings, I prefer to, you know, let it show me that it can close back above the quarterly. Then I'll get long towards the highs and so on. Is that clear for everybody? Now that we've, you know, in terms of VWAP, in terms of market profile, are we all on the same page? Can we merge an 11-week composite? Yeah, sure. If there's enough value overlap, you can merge. Can we use TP over altcoins? Yes, you can. You can use VWAP, TPO, you can use everything. So a sign of strength in all time frames. Yeah, exactly, bro. Panos, can you ask the question that you had already at the beginning of the stream? I forgot. Otherwise, I need to scroll up. Oh yeah. So can I discuss about the previous versus current VWAP value area? If we're taking these two as an example, previous value, right? This is from a monthly time frame, and then we have a monthly developing value, right? VWAP, developing value area low. I always prefer previous value over developing value because it's developing for a reason. If you backtest it yourself, the interactions with previous value are really clean. It's because the levels of previous value are static, right? There are static lines expanded throughout time. So a lot of algos, a lot of algorithms are, you know, deployed around these static price points to look for absorption, to look for mean reversions or whatever, right? To look for anomalies to catch a trade. With developing value, it's difficult. And a lot of times what you'll see is if Bitcoin is trading here, tags the previous value to the tick, and then it continues to go higher. For example, previous value area high on the week to the tick, and there we go. But look at this. Developing weekly, right? VWAP, developing value. We can trade pretty deep back within value without really being bearish and then accept above developing value again. So I think for me, it's more so like previous value, static lines, previous value over developing value, because developing value, the market can auction here, then it can retest it and it can go pretty deep back into VWAP. So are we going to be looking for shorts at the value area high? I don't know. You know, as per law of market dynamics, you should be looking for shorts there. But considering how, I mean, if you're trading equities are way cleaner with developing value. But crypto and developing value, because it's so emotional, I think it's you know, you're better off having the preference over previous value than developing value. How you weigh TPO composite versus VWAPs? Oh, that was the other question. By the way, is this clear, by the way, for you? Previous value versus current value versus developing? Yes, that's how I would do it. But that's this personal preference for me. right? Developing value is developing for a reason. Previous value is just really clean interactions. When using TPO VWAP for altcoins, would you use the spot? I would use the spot chart always. My TPO tick size is 110 if it is, shown correctly. Let's see. Studies, TPO, settings, 110. Ladder block increment in ticks, 110. Yeah, exactly. So what a lot of people tend to forget is that if this is this is the second month of the year, right? I already see people on Twitter talking about yearly value. I'm like, bro, yearly value? What the fuck are you talking about? Yearly value is monthly value in this time, right? We can only start talking about yearly value and actually using it within our prep. I mean, the developing value, right? After the first quarter, because at that point, the yearly value goes into play. Does it make sense? We're only going to be using quarterly developing value when we've got 2 months within the year. We're only going to be using monthly value when we've got 2 weeks of data, right? Otherwise, it's just a weekly VWAP and not monthly. The first week of the month is not monthly VWAP, it's weekly VWAP, right? It's the same. And that's why on the week, I tend to neglect weekly VWAP up until usually Wednesday. Because the weekly VWAP is pretty, and I talk about developing, right? So it's, weekly VWAP is like, it's pretty low time frame in terms of VWAP rotations. So, starting to account for developing value on the third day of the week kind of makes sense to me. Because on Monday, weekly VWAP is daily VWAP, right? And then on Tuesday, it's still only 2 days. So it's just a bit of bit of iffy. So for the quarterly from the beginning of the... yeah. So for the quarterly, thank you for answering the question, Grant. So for all time frames that you see within my chart, the static lines here are previous value. And then these bands, they're like the color bands, they are developing. So let's say that we've got a new quarter tomorrow. What this will look like is this will close off and then it will extend this value area like that. So we've got a value area high and then we've got a value area low. And then the VWAP will extend as well. And that will be, you can call this VWAP, you can call this point of control, whatever. But that's a great question. Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe I can do it like... maybe Control R. Oh, yeah. So, developing value. Previous value, developing value. So then when this month closes, like that, it becomes previous value again. And then we're getting a new quarterly value with the bands. Okay? So at the end of the month, the previous and the current VWAP should have about the same importance. Yeah. So the longer duration we have of that month. So that is why I said in the Discord, I said on Friday, the hypo, I think I shared that hypo on Twitter. It was where I said, well, if there's going to be a... let's zoom in a bit. So again, yellow is previous month value. And then we've got red as the developing month value. However, that was like 2 days before the end of the month. So that is why I said within the hypo, if we're getting a rejection bar at the developing month value and we close back within, to me, that's already a sign that we're kind of rejecting off previous month value area high because it's the previous month within a couple of days, right? So it's just short targeting VWAP and potentially lower. It's kind of similar, exactly what Grant said. So the laws that I use for, I can't really show them all here, but I think I have a visual on Twitter somewhere. But let's make it yellow again. So the laws that I mainly use or that you should mainly be focusing on are these. So this is TPO, right? Market profile, a distribution, bell curve distribution, point of control in the middle, it's extended trial time like that. Yeah, we got a couple of laws. So the TPO charts that you see within my Sierra chart are purely based on time, the value area calculation, and VWAPs are based on, as the name already says, it's volume weighted average price. So the law that I use the most is that whenever the market accepts back within value, that means if we are trading above value area high and we accept back within, that means I want to be a seller around value area high, because this right here, where it accepts back within value, is what we call a shifting condition. Now, where the shifting condition occurs, that's usually the area where we're getting a opportunity to short this for a move towards the point of control. Take profit 1, and then if the market is really weak, it's going to break below the point of control, and that is when we traverse towards the value area low. Take profit 2. This is why you see in this stream that I mentioned about the point of control from the 2 months, that I said if there's going to be a short-term low, it should be within here. And that is because this right here is rule number 1. And then rule number 2 is whenever the market accepts back within value and it rejects, and then it gets a rotation lower, but it fails to break below the point of control and sees a strong reaction, it is the only exception to the rule of number 1 where we don't have to go towards the opposite extreme. And at that point, we're likely forming a low and we're going to be retesting the value area high. Does that make sense? The same goes for the other way around, right? If we're trading down here and we accept back within value, the area where we are seeing the shifted condition is where we want to be getting involved. That's when we start to trade towards the highs. Let me show you guys in Sierra chart. Previous week value. Let me just show you real quick. I think this is a good example, right? Let's zoom in a bit more. 1. Okay. Yellow. So we accept back within value, and then we initially go towards point of control. Right here. Sellers are, stepping in, consolidation, acceptance above, and then we're going to go towards value area high. That's the destination, right? This was the bullish trade. The bearish trade here we are trading within value. We try to break above the 14-day composite value area high. We fail to do so. What's the destination? Value area low. So it's not, I think it might seem difficult, but in all honesty, like it's just giving you a framework on how and where and when you should be trading. Okay, so if I were to fine tune this briefly to finish off the stream, the trades that I'm interested in next week are, let's see, let's quickly see vwap, by the way. Okay. 30-day, 90-day. Okay, so we do have the 30-day rolling VWAP failing to hold a support. Right here, this was support. Now we're accepting below. That's bearish, right? It's confluent with the 2-month point of control, confluent with a whole lot of other things that we have as our bearish line in the sand. 99.2K. Bullish line in the sand. Quarterly rolling VWAP. That's where we initially find that low. If Bitcoin is forming a low, I think what I want to see is maybe something along these lines. Spike the lows into our bullish line in the sand. Previous month value low, 2-month value low. And then we've got the quarterly rolling VWAP. This is where I want to be engaging in a potential reversal for a move back into the 2-month point of control, confluent with previous quarterly and so on. Acceptance back above. Let's say that we, there's also a possibility that this was the low, right? Because if we're taking a look at TPO right now, oh no, we formed another poor low, by the way. So yeah, I think we might be revisiting that poor low, and then we've got another one here. But in an event where the market does not do what I want, and it breaks back above this H4 block there, confluent with the 2-month point of control. At that point, I think we're seeing some sort of a rejection at the 30-day, pull back into support, and then we're going to be auctioning towards the 2-month value high into this fair value gap. Is that clear for everybody for next week? I appreciate the kind words, Grant. I really do. Thank you, guys. If 2 or more values are within 50% of each other, add them together. Yep. So there's a couple of things. Let me just... In terms of composites, like if you want to practice for yourself, rule 1, there are some rules, but the first 2 rules are like this. Rule number 1, the best case scenario for emerging composites would be when you've got like days that look like that. Picture perfect value overlap, right? 100% value overlap. That's bullish. If the daily profiles look like that, value area like that, and then we've got another day, value area like that, we've got like 50% value overlap, right? Add them together. But if the days look like that, where value is migrating lower, we do not add that within the previous day because there is no value overlap with each other, okay? However, if the 3rd day then comes back up, looks like that, right? I think we can assume that the overall picture here, this is law number 2. Like, not law number 2, but the second rule with merging composites. In this case, bigger picture is telling us that we need to be adding them all together. And at that point, if the composite looks like this, where it is just a nice looking distribution in the middle, then you can go with the composite. Is that clear for you? Who asked to face off? So we determine the composite length until something changes. So we've got value overlap, and we continue to add. Let me just show you within the CR chart, by the way. Well, because what am I doing? What am I doing, bruv? For example, lower time frames, like just a quick visual. If you let's just neglect this value right now, right? Let's just pretend that it's not there, the 14-day composite. And let's say that today you wake up and you see this is the day right here, right? And you see previous 2 days overlapping value. Right click, merge. That's the composite that you want to go with. The next day is like that. So do you add that day within the previous 2 days? No, you don't, because there's no value overlap, right? It's a clear break away from value. So that's when you stop adding them within the composite. However, if, it's looking like this, where you got like, for example, right here, neglect this part, okay? Only focus on this part right now. You add that day together, right there. 2-day composite. Let's get rid of this. 2-day composite. The next day opens up. Oh shit, value overlap. Okay, right click, merge within the composite. Let's adjust the composite. Look, it's really boring, but it's good for you guys to see. Next day closes. Oh, we got another day of value within the previous 3 days. Right click, merge within the composite, right? And we continue to do that to adjust the value area and like that. And we're like, oh, another day within the value. Oh, another day within value, right? Right click, merge within, right click, merge within. And this is where things get interesting, because my PC is struggling with CR chart. This day right here, this is the first day where we get a acceptance below that composite. Where do we go? We instantly go towards previously established value. This is an old composite value high. Buyers are stepping in, right? And then we continue to auction higher. However, we do not add this day within the previous composite. We do not add this day within the previous composite. However, when, the market is showing us that, okay, well, This day is now back within value. This day is now back within value. This day is now back within value, right? At that point, within this day, you can start to add these days because at that point, it's like the overall picture. Does that make sense? Where you're like, okay, this is just a deviation below the composite. So we can add it within the day, within the composite. So then how do you determine your best trading composites? That's a golden question, bro. So, 1. Recency. Which composite is the most recent one? Like a 4-day composite from this week is more important than a 4-day composite from last week. 2. Oh, I can't write. Duration. Right? An 8-day composite more important than a 2-day composite. So if you take a, if you go by these 2 rules, that should be more than enough. Just got home from our weekend for family. Should have kept my shorts open Friday. Yeah, I mean, that was a good short, right? But there will be more opportunities. There will be more. Do we have some high volume bars going on? No, we don't. Okay. If you have an old composite and price goes after a bit and forms a new composite slightly higher or lower, which one are you using? All right. Let me just do a little bit of a shill of my own group. Look. If we go back down, like all of the goodies, right? But if you scroll down, Learning Hub, right? Oh, if you scroll down, it's like what, $250 per quarter? Market profile trading course. All right. So, if you really want to know the ins and outs, I think it's worth it. But I appreciate the great questions as well. So if there are no further questions, I would like to thank everybody for their time with me today. Do me a favor, leave me a like, leave me a comment, and I will catch you guys within the next one. Take care. Peace.